Hey you, yes, you, the one who's thinking about moving to a new state. I got good news and bad news for you today. We're gonna dive into the pros and cons of each. California and Idaho, they both have their pros, they both have cons. One, California, has more cons than the other, and one of them has more pros, Idaho, than the other. So we're gonna dive into which one is the best choice for you. Stick with me to the end because we are gonna dive into everything economy. We're gonna talk into shopping, stores, what's nearby, team sports, shopping, everything, the whole 9 yards. Stick with me to the end. You're gonna love it. Let's go battle it out between California and Idaho. Guys, welcome to the latest head-to-head battle between California and Idaho. We're gonna dive into all things that represent Idaho and California. Which one is the best? You're gonna have to decide for yourself, but if you are seeking the conservative life, I have a feeling I know which one you're gonna pick. If you want beaches and skiing and it's all you want professional sports and traffic, you're probably gonna choose California. Easy choice. But if you are into a better, slower way of life and just a little bit more of a conservative lifestyle, this one is for you. You are gonna love Idaho. But let's dive into some of the pros and cons of each. We're gonna compare and contrast each. There definitely are some pros to California. I love visiting there. But let's compare living in the two states, living in California versus living in Idaho. Now, first off, you have to realize that I am born and raised in the Boise area. So I know Boise a whole lot more than Coeur d'Alene or Idaho Falls or other larger cities in the state. So if I fail to mention every shopping center in the whole state, I am mostly concerned about Boise. While there are some data points we'll drive from things to do in the whole state. So we'll talk about northern Idaho, we'll talk about eastern Idaho. And then when it comes to California, I'm mostly comparing Southern Cal and the Bay Area. Now, I compare everything as much as I can to, Idaho and the major cities. We're gonna take a step back at kind of overall Idaho and California and then dive into some of the major cities, LA versus Boise, San Francisco versus Boise, etc. So stick with me as we dive into that format when we go head to head with California and Idaho. We're gonna dive into shopping, groceries, and restaurant, and we are gonna start in the greatest state in the union, Idaho, and we're gonna start at Meridian. There's a place called The Village. It's located at Fairview and Eagle. I've been told that's the busiest intersection of all of Idaho. I don't know how you fact check something like that. It's pretty cool. There's 55 shops. It includes just small shops like Chick-fil-A. It includes Columbia, Duck Donuts, best donuts in the world, H&M, Gap, Kona Grill, Victoria's Secret Vans, Skechers, Anthropology, Big Al's, which is bowling and arcades and fun. The Village is a fun place to go. There's Santa there that visits every winter. There's fountains. There's a little ice skating. There's a theater there. It's a pretty cool outdoor mall. Really, really good feel to it. People love the Village. I love the Village. It really is a good spot. The Boise Spectrum was definitely the thing. I think it came in around 1995, 2000, somewhere in there. And it is kind of like the Village now. It has a theater, it has hotels, it has shops and restaurants. Some of the restaurants are Cracker Barrel, CK Hawaiian Barbecue, Creperie, New York Giant Pizza, McGrath's Fish House is a good spot. It's right on the freeway as well. Super good location and has a lot to offer as well. Boise Town Square Mall is Idaho's largest shopping mall. It's 1.2 million square feet. Huge mall. Malls, as we know, are kind of going out of style at the same time. You go support your local businesses. Those ones are filling up the malls and see what stores there are there. There's Macy's, JCPenney, Kohl's, Dillard's, Banana Republic, Cheesecake Factory, Cinnabon, Coach, Victoria's Secret, H&M, Forever 21, Panda Express, Red Lobster, and a whole lot more. Oh, and I can't forget, there's Foot Locker. I know the manager of Foot Locker. He's family. Go support your Foot Locker. When it comes to shops overall in the Boise Valley, you can find most of the stores you can find in Southern Cal, you can find here. Best Buys, Cabela's, and things like that. When it comes to Big Bass Pro Shops, for example, that one's only in Southern Cal, not here in Boise. When it comes to outdoor malls, indoor malls, we have some, they have a lot. Just comparing something like that. One thing that when people hop in my car, what they're really surprised to see is that we have a lot of the big name brand stores. They have surprise. We have 500,000 people in this valley. And so when we have a few Costco's, we have quite a few Targets, we have the Walmarts, we have Trader Joe's, we have 2 of those, Whole Foods, just to name a few. People are usually surprised to hear that's what we have. Now, my job when you hop in my car is to tell you, okay, you wanted to be 20 minutes within Groceries. That you're, off the top of my head, I can tell you from where we're at in the point of the car to how close we are to your Groceries, or your stores. And so that's the advantage you have. It's not so much what is found here, it's gonna be how close you are to things. I know when I go visit California and we want to go to In-N-Out, it's like, hey, which one do you want to go to? In-N-Out here is at the Village. It's coming to the Village. It's gonna be a traffic mess there when that comes. I just know it's gonna be probably 50 cars deep for the first few months. And so that is coming to Idaho, and it's coming to Boise specifically. But you know, there's just a ton of options of what you can do in California, but with a ton of options comes some of those cons that, you know, traffic and the freeways. And speaking of freeways, I'm kind of off topic now, but speaking of freeways, I tell a lot of people this, when you get on the freeway in Idaho, you just get on the freeway. You don't get on the 84. It does say 84, but no one uses that. So you just hop on the freeway, and if you use that little spike to go downtown, it's the 184. No one says 184, you just say the connector. So it's the freeway and the connector. And then no one says Highway 2026, that's Chinden Road. No one says Highway 55 when it's on Eagle, that's Eagle Road. Highway 55 is referred to the highway that gets from Eagle to McCall. But no one is using those numbers. You know, we don't hop on the 101 to 206, the 505, the 128, whatever you guys have down there. It is strictly just the freeway and the connector here, when you guys can take all your numbers and freeways and win that battle. Now, according to some of my research, I show shopping malls as 3rd Street Promenade, Irving Spectrum Center, Rodeo Drive, obviously very popular, Santana Row, South Coast Plaza. You guys in California know your stores down there a whole lot better than I do. You can go buy a Tesla down there. We don't have a Tesla up here. We fly to buy our Teslas if we're gonna buy them in person. Otherwise, they're shipped. Your Nikes, Lululemons, we have those here as well. All that type of stuff. When you look at California compared to Idaho, like I said, we have a lot of the same things. It just depends on which mall is gonna provide what for you guys. We're not deciding between which mall. We really have just a couple to choose from. Let's talk about where that smog comes from, at least in part, and that's the traffic. Traffic in California compared to traffic in Idaho. Now, we have stats on the traffic numbers. I've gotta be honest, I think those numbers are bonkers. If you live in San Francisco, every person I've known that works in the Bay wakes up at 5, 6 a.m. to avoid traffic, and then they'll take the BART in. LA, they're starting work at 6 o'clock to beat traffic. Even when my dad went to dental school at USC, I know that they'd start their commute like at 4:30. We don't do that here. 7:15, it starts to get congested. By 8:30, you're pretty much free and clear. And in that time, it's not stop and go, it's just congested. If there's a wreck, obviously it's a different story. But when we say average commute times and you see those from Cuna, Cuna is like 25 minutes and it's not even gonna stop. It takes you straight down Meridian Road, hit the freeway, go downtown. That's like the average commute, 25 minutes. We're not talking about, if you work in Meridian from Cuna, 10 minutes. If you don't work any further than downtown, if you're in Cuna, things like that. So just kind of take it as a whole. Traffic in Idaho, obviously a huge clear winner over the traffic in LA and the Bay Area, everything else, Sacramento, other large cities. So when it comes to traffic, easy winner. When you want exact stats and numbers, I don't know what you can trust on that one, but I would go with your own experience, what your own gut says. Let's talk about the weather, natural disasters, bugs, things like that. Do you have a guess on which state has less natural disasters? Let's think about this. The fires that are going on. Hey, we did have fires now. Let's think about this for a minute. Historically, which one state has all the fires? The earthquakes. We had an earthquake in Idaho 2 years ago, I think it was. It was about 120 miles away and we felt some lights swinging and things. First earthquake I've ever felt in my life in Idaho. Felt one in another country before. In California, I hear those a little bit more frequent. We don't have volcanoes, I don't think, in either state, so we're good there. Tornadoes, I don't think are in either state. But, fires, we've seen so many, unfortunately, some towns in California get, so many people get displaced from fires and houses burnt down and things like that. I've helped quite a handful of people move, who've collected their insurance money and moved to Idaho. That's sad, super sad. People who retired and had to retire early and take all their belongings here. That's one side of that. But when it comes to who's got the better natural disasters, well, yours are better in California because, well, they are more superior, but we don't want superior or bigger natural disasters. We want less, so therefore Boise is actually the clear winner on your weather and natural disasters. When it comes to temperatures, can you beat San Diego? Hands down, you cannot beat San Diego. If you're looking for the best weather, go to San Diego. I actually just helped clients in May or June get into a house, and they were stoked San Diego, not because of the weather, but because Idaho's conservative lifestyle is matching up better for them with where they want to raise their kids. That just is them. That might not be you, but most people I talk to are very concerned about where their kids are going to grow up, the politics they subscribe to, and it's not so much, whether or not it's the perfect weather. When it comes to weather, let's say the Bay, what was Mark Twain's quote that he had? He said, the coldest winter I ever had was September or August in San Francisco or something like that. So, we're not like that. I mean, we're at the time of recording this video, we're mid-September and we're mid-80s, low 80s right now. And that, we're bottoming out about 52 degrees, in the nighttime. that's kind of our typical when it comes to weather in the winter. Boise is very moderate. And like I said, I'm not going to focus on eastern Idaho or northern Idaho a lot in this, but eastern Idaho, it's about 10 degrees warmer in the winter here than eastern Idaho. The same goes for northern Idaho. And in the summer, we're about 5 degrees on average higher than eastern Idaho. So Boise's weather is definitely not sure why, and I've talked about it in a lot of videos. It's that pocket. There's no wind here. There's some, but there's not a lot of wind here. The weather temperatures are better. Very little rainfall. You know, we're in the desert, but we get our water, and I can explain this in other videos, through the reservoirs as they collect the rainwater, and we get those in the reservoirs and distribute those out through the canals and the rivers. So weather is definitely something to consider when you're looking at the average temperature in the summer for California as a whole is greater than Idaho's as a whole. We obviously know it can get hotter than blazes in the LA area. It can get hotter than blazes in the valley in California. And we have a couple weeks here where it's a little warm, over 100 degrees as well, but for the most part we're in the 90s, and then we're in the 30s in the winter. Number 4, let's talk about recreation and getaways. If you need to pay to play or pay to have fun, I would honestly say off the top of my head, that's why we go to California. We like to vacation there, spend our money at Disneyland.
Did everyone see that? Because I will not be doing it again.
You know, SeaWorld or Universal Studios. Dodgers game, Angels game, Giants game, whatever it is, and then head home. That's what we like to do. When it comes to outdoor recreation, I honestly don't think it gets any better than Idaho. Now, you have the beach in California, you have ski resorts in California, we both have hiking and biking, both have trails, we both have lakes. Within 45 minutes of me right now, I'm within 3 reservoirs that are plenty big for all the traffic we get in the water sports. In California, I know you guys have lakes in a few spots, and you know, obviously, you have to take your pick there, but in Idaho, we have fishing, we have hiking, horseback riding, RVing or motorhoming or camping, glamping we should just say, you know, paddle sports, sailing, snowmobiling in the winter, snowshoeing in the winter, cross-country skiing in the winter, downhill skiing in the winter, bird watching, golf, etc. In California, you can find a lot of the same things as well. You'll know where you're at compared to Idaho. Within 2 hours, I have all that stuff that I just mentioned, and within the whole state of Idaho, there's so much. Coeur d'Alene's about 8 hours away. It's less than that actually. In eastern Idaho, about 4 hours away. So within both extremities of the state, I can see pretty much the whole entire thing, and I have so many options. In California, I would say the one clear winner where you have is that you can be in the beach in the morning and snow skiing, you know, in the afternoon, or vice versa. That's pretty cool. But people moving to Idaho aren't moving here for the beaches or the low cost of homes anymore. They're moving here for the style of life and the speed of life. Let's talk about some of those getaways that you pay to play in Idaho. Silverwood Theme Park, Lake Coeur d'Alene, Hiawatha Mountain Trail, which I've done, super fun. Mesa Falls, super beautiful. Island Park, which is close to West Yellowstone. Boat Box Hot Springs in Stanley. Schweitzer Mountain Resort in Sandpoint, that's an awesome ski resort. Teton Springs. I mean, if you haven't seen the Tetons or the Sawtooth Mountains, those are picturesque, out of this world beautiful. Sun Valley obviously is huge. Shore Lodge in McCall, anything in McCall it's our Boise's little resort town. It's not even a resort town, but it's just, you know, something. California, the coastline of the Big Sewer, Carmel by the Sea, Santa Barbara. I mean, these are world famous places, right? Catalina Island. But you have Lake Tahoe, Half Moon Bay in San Francisco, Old Town San Diego. You have so many options in California. The number of options exceeds Idaho. Those are sweet places. Again, I love to vacation there and get back to my way of life in Idaho. Again, my name is Brian Hymas, born and raised here in the Boise Valley, and I have been doing real estate for the past 5+ years. And I was an appraiser before that for a couple more years additionally on top of that 5+. And I just love all things Boise and all things real estate. So if you are like the others that have already called, texted, or emailed and want to get yourself up to Idaho and need help doing so, I would love to help you and be a part of that process. It's honestly an honor and a privilege. If that is you, call me at 208-213-2092 or text. That works great. I get so much more text because it's just easy. It's easy to start a conversation and see if this is right for you. And if it is, we'll move into a Zoom call and eventually you'll get here and we'll go tour some homes and tour the area together. Number 5, let's talk about sports teams and Idaho versus California. We're When it comes to pro teams and sports like that and options of entertainment each night, is it any wonder who the winner is? No, California is the winner on there. I'd love to visit. I go to, Lakers games, Clippers games, Dodgers games, Angels games, Giants games. Never been to an A's game. Never been to a pro hockey game down there. I've been to minor league hockey up here. We have the Steelheads. I've been to Boise Hawks games. That's our minor league baseball. Are they as good as pro sports? No. But it's entertainment you're seeking, and that's fun. There's still a good time out with the family. Boise State basketball is good. I've had season tickets many years of my life. Boise State football is king here in the Valley. When it's game day, you know it. You guys have the Rams. You guys have my beloved USC Trojans. You've got the Bruins from, I don't even know what their school's even called. Do they even have a football team anymore? Sorry if I offended you. Did not mean to ruin that. You've got San Jose Sharks up north. You've got the Kings down in south. You got the Ducks in the LA area as well. Who can forget the Golden State Warriors? Who can forget MLS? You've got LA Galaxy. There's another team down there. Los Angeles FC. You got the Kings, and you have the 49ers. So if you are wondering, like, man, you don't have any pro sports, how does that work? How do you like that? Like, I still have sports I root for. I just find myself really engaged in college sports. Now, if you have to have your pro sports, it might not be for you. But I have a feeling it's not going to be a huge deal breaker for you. There are people who actually do fly to Oakland or to LA for a weekend to see their team. Hey, that's cool. You can still do that. In fact, it might even be faster to fly there than drive there from home because of your traffic, right? When it comes to house prices of California versus Idaho, without getting into specifics, in fact, let's just put up the chart while I talk so you can see. So you can see that some of the average prices in Idaho are more than California, but for the most part, California takes the cake. It used to be that Idaho was way undervalued, and so now they call it overvalued because it used to be undervalued. But when you compare our prices, there are still some areas that have some room for higher numbers. Now, what that means is that people are still moving here from California who are seeking a better way of life and can still get a deal on their property down there. If you're close to LA, you're LA County, Orange County. I've had folks from the Bay Area, I've had people from the most expensive zip code in America move to Boise. If that's you, then you know that you can still get a good value for your house in the Boise area. As a whole, our prices are down. That doesn't mean it's for everyone though. Even like a year and a half ago, I had somebody from outside of Sacramento, south of Sacramento, like 45 minutes or an hour, and our prices were very similar. So it doesn't always work out that it's gonna be cheaper for you, but if you compare these prices, it might just give you a fair analysis of where our prices are at. So let's dive into the cost of living in both California and Idaho. This site is mylifeelsewhere.com. Compares Idaho to California. You can see this from the looks of it. Idaho is going to receive, if we're negative 19%, that's in favor of Idaho. Fast food costs less. Restaurants cost less. Soda costs less. Bread, cheese, milk. I mean, this breaks it down. Gasoline. It's crazy. It's crazy. Everything costs less. Internet costs less. Bedrooms obviously downtown. So if you don't want a cappuccino in the mid-range area, then I guess Idaho's not your place. Cigarettes, not my thing, but interesting that they cost that much different, right? The cost of living in Idaho is just so much different when you're looking at all this. Now, it might not be worth it to you, but that is how Idaho compares to California. Cheaper cost of living. Taxes are cheaper. We're going to dive in that sooner. We'll check out another site. So this time we have Boise on the left and LA on the right. So if we took those two cities, it would go 51% more to live in California, 11% more to live in California. And I'm just going to let you kind of see, but look at more, less, more. Very interesting when you compare just two cities. Which one is going to cost you more? Now moving from cost of living into schools, we're going to compare some of the post-high school schools in Idaho. Very simple. Super simple. In the Boise Valley, Boise State, NNU, College of Idaho, College of Western Idaho, and Idaho State from Pocatello has I think it's osteopathic medicine in Boise, Meridian area. And super simple, that's where you can get a medical degree. It's the only medical degree offered in Idaho. When you go to Eastern Idaho, there's a couple other, EITC, Rexburg with BYU Idaho, and then Coeur d'Alene has North Idaho College, and Moscow has the University of Idaho. That is really the bulk of Idaho's post-high school education. It's because of sheer numbers. I mean, we're just that much smaller. When you compare it to California, you've got the UC and the Cal States. So, you got your UC Davis, UC Berkeley, UCLA. You've got Cal State Fullerton. You've got, what other Cal States are there? You guys know better than I do. And there's also one of the best universities in the nation. I know that is Stanford. What I can appreciate about Stanford is, man, they're smart people and they change the world. But I also appreciate meeting them in football and basketball. Super fun. When I say we, as in USC, that's where my dad went to dental school. USC, also another fantastic private school. When it comes to you guys in California, you guys have a lot of picks. So you can go on the beach, you can go inland, you can go big school, small school, junior college. You can go Cal State, you can go UC. There's a ton of options for you. When it comes to taxes, we are going to make this super easy for you. If you own a business, you could be paying upwards of 50% or more to have a business in California. I promise you it's a lot less for me to run my business in Idaho. Wallet Hub breaks it down. They say there's about a 2 percentage point difference. If you made $100,000, that's $2,000 difference between a wage employee, which would be a difference between roughly 9% compared to 7%. Idaho's taxes being 7 and California's being 9. So tax advantages definitely go to Idaho. Another advantage for taxes is Idaho's a balanced budget. So if you're looking for your government not to go in bankrupt, imagine that, Idaho might be a better choice for you because we do run a balanced budget. We are not inventing money or borrowing against something we don't have. Specifically, Idaho has a tax rate that starts at 1% and goes higher up to 6.5%. When we have our property taxes, if you're living in your primary home, you are roughly taxed about 1%. It's a budget based, not levy based, but roughly 1% of your assessed value. And again, the exemption we have is the first $125,000 of your property is not taxed. So that helps you pay less taxes. You're paying, on $1 million home, you're not paying $10,000 a year, even though you would think that with 1%, you're paying closer to, depending on the county, anywhere to $5,000 to $7,000 per year. California's rate goes anywhere from 1 to upwards of 12% for your tax rate. And here's just a site. This is Wallet Hub site. They're going to show the tax burden by state. If we compare Idaho ranked 40th to California's ranked 9, that is not a good rank. You do not want to be number 1. You want to be number 50 if you can. Number 50, if you don't know, is Alaska. Hawaii is number 2, interesting enough, but California at number 9 gives us about a 9.72 overall tax rate burden. And so that's California's is. If we skip down to number 40, find ours truly, 7.59%, and it breaks down each one of those categories for you. So with all that information, which one is best for you, California or Idaho? I hope it's an easy pick. If you're following me, you're most likely gonna pick the obvious choice. But I'll tell you what, some people are still staying in California and think that place rocks. So if that place rocks for you, stay there. If not, move up here and go visit there with a flight or 2 each year. That's what we do. We've loved visiting our cousins, our in-laws down there. And each year it's a fun trip for us. We'll go down and hit up Southern Cal and go visit all the sites and see the beaches and the amusement parks and then come on home. Pretty awesome for us. If that doesn't work for you, hey, you can stay in California. All is good. No relationship lost here. I still love you. So let me know below in the comments what state you would rather be in, California or Idaho. If you have any questions for me that you just want to drop, I do have 2 YouTube lives every month. They're the first and third Tuesday of the month. One is at 12 Pacific and one is at 6 Pacific, twice a month. That schedule should be on your screen right now. You can choose which one you want to go to, and it's an open QA. So I have a topic I talk about, it's an open QA for you to go there, type your questions in, and I will interact with you there. If you are liking these head-to-head battles and you have clearly decided that Idaho's for you or a conservative state is better for you, then check out Idaho versus Tennessee, Idaho versus Texas, and Idaho versus Arizona. Those are the 3 of the states that I see most people comparing us to. And so if you're looking for a conservative state to head to, go check those out. Obviously, I love Idaho. I will forever preach Idaho because it is the best. And when I say Idaho, I'm mostly talking about Boise. That's where I was born and raised. So if that's you, get yourself to Boise or give me a call, text, or email and be like the many that have called or texted me or emailed me before. I love helping you out. It's honestly a privilege. And I take pride in helping you and doing my best to help you make your dream of Idaho come true. So stick with me as we use that format for diving in to the battle. Why can't I get this? Any traffic details I'm happy to share. No, forget that. Whew! Wow, I better finish this video quick or else I'm gonna be sweating bullets. I don't know how to keep there. Hey, you there? Got good news and bad news for you.